Now, something else we should take a look at inside Illustrator is the toolbox found over on the left-hand side. Very similar to Photoshop's toolbox. What I can do with the tools inside the toolbox is I can simply hover over top of them, and Illustrator will give me a little tooltip, a little message to tell me what that tool is. So you can hover over top of any tool you want, and you'll get this little tooltip showing up. Of course, click on a tool, and that will select it there for you. So, for example, the brush tool here, or the rotate tool, this sort of thing. There's lots and lots of tools here inside Illustrator. As a matter of fact, some of the tools have a little tiny black arrow in the bottom right corner. I don't know if you can see that or not. That means that I can click and hold on that tool, and I'll actually get a tool flyout. So there's a lot more tools inside the toolbox than you would first see. There's all sorts of them in here. So you're going to have to explore around a little bit and see what's available. There's all sorts of fun ones in here to play around with. As a matter of fact, if I want to cycle through some of the tools that are hidden inside Illustrator's toolbox, I'm just going to hold down Alt here on the Windows side, or of course Option on the Mac, and try single clicking. And you can actually cycle through the tools that are available when you click and hold. I'll do that one more time on my rectangle tool here. I will Option click or Alt click here on the Windows side on my rectangle tool, and I'm actually cycling through my different shape tools here. Kind of a neat trick to know. The other thing I could do, of course, is I could click and hold to get the tool flyout here. And then over on the right-hand side, I have this vertical tear-off button. So I can click on that guy, and that actually creates a little tearaway here for me. So I can actually have all sorts of tearaways sitting on my screen, giving me access to the tools that are normally hidden inside Illustrator. So there you go. There's some cool things you can do with the toolbox. I'm just going to close out of these tearaways here. Of course, down at the bottom of the toolbox, I have a color area here. Again, very similar to Photoshop, except this time what we have in the top left corner, I have the fill, and underneath that, in the bottom right corner, I have the stroke, and the stroke is also known as the outline, and we'll definitely be working with these two guys in some upcoming chapters. All of your tools have a single keystroke equivalent on your keyboard. So, for example, if I hover over top of the Type tool, Illustrator tells me in that little tooltip that if I hit the letter T on my keyboard, notice the T in the brackets there, then that's going to access that tool for me. Or, for example, I could hit the V key on my keyboard. That will grab the black arrow tool way up at the top there, the selection tool. If I hit the W key on the keyboard, that grabs my blend tool way down at the bottom here. So, if you want to know a tool's keystroke shortcut, just hover over top of it, and you'll see the shortcut in brackets there. Shift-E for my eraser tool. There it is there. Or for my rectangle tool, the M key. Now, I don't know all of the keyboard shortcuts here, but I know the ones that I use all the time. A for my direct selection tool, T for type, H for hand, for example, R for rotate. There's a whole bunch of them. Anyway, so you can mess around with that a little bit on your own if you like. As far as the menus go here inside Illustrator, we have some fairly standard menus. My File menu, for example, Edit, where I would find all my undoing and cutting and copying and pasting and so far. But there's a few unique menus here inside Illustrator. If you've used Illustrator before, you may notice something different about your menus here inside Illustrator CS4. There's no more Filters menu. The Filter menu used to be placed right beside the Effects menu, and it's gone now. So no more Filters menu here inside Illustrator. It's all about effects now. And if you don't know about effects, what we're talking about here are special effects. And the great thing about effects here inside Illustrator is they're non-destructive. And I'll show you some of these as we go along as well. There's some really neat things you can do. My object menu, there's another menu that's unique to Illustrator. This guy would allow me to lock my objects and group them and otherwise manipulate them. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make sure that I'm on my selection tool here inside the toolbox, the black arrow tool. I'm going to grab one of my invaders here, single click on them, and I'll go back up to my object menu and I can see I have a few more commands available here. I won't go through all the menus here inside Illustrator, but you may want to check out the View menu. Here I can come in and decide how I want the view to be handled inside Illustrator. For example, maybe I want to do some zooming, or maybe I want to hide my artboard or show my rulers, that sort of thing.